welcome. And so, by the way, it's 1 o'clock in the morning for me right now, and so I'm doing my best. So yeah, I used to be a Buddhist monk and meditation teacher, and kind of transitioned that into a business, spiritual coaching, and that kind of thing. And along the way, I kind of fell in love with marketing, the psychology of marketing, and started helping myself and others to kind of apply that marketing to their business, helping other wellness businesses. And, eventually I kind of branded myself to help just spiritual coaches and healers. And so that's kind of what I do. It's great to meet you all. So right now, basically, I would say I help spiritual entrepreneurs, probably like you guys, to launch and grow your heart-centered business. And I've kind of chosen a high ticket model as being like the best model that I've seen, mid ticket, high ticket. And one of my specialties is creating like marketing presentations that either like a 90-minute workshop, or really like if you were to squish a 90-minute workshop into a 15 to 20-minute video that lives on a web page, people can watch it, schedule calls with you. It's a great system. And anyway, I know we're going to get into all the details, but it's great to be here with you, and I'm excited to share whatever knowledge I have. By the way, I do have I put together like 36 of all my best videos that are like paid content, and I just made it free. And so if anybody wants that, just 36 of my best videos of all time, you can get it. And we'll put the link in the chat and you guys can grab that completely no strings. Okay. And so anyway, just wanted to mention that, and I'm glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. And Casey, can you tell us about yourself?
Hello, everyone. I have been in Brandy's world for about a year and a bit now, and I have really enjoyed seeing how she supports light workers and healers and other people who have these intuitive gifts grow their business. And this is one of my favorite things to do. So I'm super, super grateful to be asked to speak tonight because I like geeking out on this stuff. And my story is that I was actually given a whole prophecy that I was going to be a spiritual teacher when I was just 8 years old. The divine came to me and was like, "You're going to be a spiritual teacher." And then I spent the next many years trying to forget about that and just live my life. But I was always a mystic. I always had this strong connection to the divine, and I just wanted to be a regular teacher. And then I became a dance teacher and professional hula hooper, and that was my first business, dancing into being movement arts and healing, where I was doing all of these in-person workshops, retreats, and teaching mastery through movement and divine connection and intuition. And I basically squished all of my favorite healing and helping modalities into one magical bundle that I did full time for about 7 years. But right before COVID, well, actually, in the summer of 2019, on the solstice, I was given another mystical prophecy experience where the divine was like, "All right, it's time to actually put down your hoops and bring your business online and to be available for people going through a spiritual acceleration." And the divine did not tell me like why or how, but it was like, "Don't worry, all of the in-person events you love will come back around. But for now, just focus on adults." Because I'd started doing a lot of work with kids. It was like, not the dance stuff, really focus on the spiritual mastery that you have. And I spent the next 9 months figuring out how to run an online business and investing in bringing the skills that I had really been cultivating for at least 15, 20 years into a marketable package if I didn't have my hula hoops and retreats to do. And then when COVID hit and all of my in-person work with schools and daycares and classes dried up, I was like, oh, that is what I've been prepared to do. And so my online business just went crazy and was doing six figures in sales like the very first year that I had my business online. And there was a massive acceleration of what I was here to share. And I tried so many different ways of bringing my gifts forward. And it turns out that was because I have a modality that is just mine to share with the world. And I was trying it out in all of these different ways, learning how to teach it, and I actually now train people in my evolutionary alchemy modality. and also how to take people on transformational journeys. And I absolutely love helping people build a business that smashes together their life experience, their soul gifts, and also the magic of working with the divine. So I like to play in all of the realms and help people bring their cosmic soul magic down to earth and share it with the world and be really abundant and have a lot of fun doing it. Because I think a lot of us take a lot of this stuff way too seriously, and I take lightening up very seriously myself. So I'm really, really excited to be here. And I will also share, since John mentioned his free gift in his videos, the divine timing could not have been better. Brandy, thank you for timing this now, because I actually have a free masterclass happening this upcoming week where I'm showing people how they can scale their spiritual business in integrity and sustainably with taking their single sessions that they do of their modality or their energy readings and actually going deeper with people, taking them on transformational journeys. And so we have that coming up on the Wednesday and Thursday of this week. And there's also an upgrade you can do to a paid workshop that talks all about the marketing and bringing in your life experience as well. So just divine timing. Thank you so much for inviting me.
I love it. You know that I like to make it fun too. And let's have some fun with some questions right now. So we're gonna start with John on the first question, and because we just have the two of you, it's obviously just gonna alternate on who starts. I do not have a timer for us, so we are going to just allow you to speak in flow, and again, just be mindful of how long you're speaking. I'm sure you both will be fine. Our very first question for you this evening is, tell me, what do you think are the right conditions for someone to start sharing their gifts as a business? John?
Okay. Great question. And yeah, it's 111 here. Just cool coincidence. Um, the right conditions to start sharing your gifts as a business. Well, there's kind of two parts to this, in my opinion. The first part is anyone can just start sharing their gifts now without it even being a business. And sometimes that's the best place to start, is just know that you have a purpose, you have a mission, you have a passion, you have a calling, and hopefully you have some compassion and love for those that you want to share it with. And you just like open that channel and let it flow. And sometimes you don't need a business plan. You don't need to impede the flow with too much structure, right? If we add too much structure in or analysis, we can stop our creativity, right? We stop the flow. And so sometimes, especially when it comes to content, just like just do it. Just make content. If you have gifts, if you have things that you want to share, put it out there and try to allow it to impact others. Like the whole point of it is you want others to receive it. You want people to actually receive the value that you've got. You got to get your value into the hands and hearts of those who are looking for it, whatever that takes, right? It's almost like that's step one, even if whether you want a business or not, it doesn't really matter. It's like, why not just use this portal that we got, this cell phone, and just like activate others, help others. You'll feel more fulfilled. You'll be more happy. You'll feel like you're on purpose, you're on fire. And you build an audience around you of people who like hearing what you've got to say and like receiving what you've got. And you can start figuring out a business plan after that. So that's probably the best advice. Um, if you want to add a little bit more of like, when are you ready to like actually make it into a business? What are the right conditions to monetize it? Well, in my opinion, you need ideas that you want to share. You need energy behind your ideas. And ideally, you want to get some, in my opinion, just speaking on what's worked for me, you want to get some support from someone who's already done it so they can tell you, look, there's 100 things you can do. Here's 10. Here's 10 out of 100 things that you're going to do that will actually work. Right. And so that's the problem is if we're sorry for speaking too long, but we're in a service-based business generally, right? We're sharing our energy, our time. We're not making physical products necessarily, right? And so this is the best kind of business to start because you don't need anything up front. You could literally sell it today. You can get an idea and have an idea of what your 3 to 6 month program might be or whatever. You could sell it literally today, right? So you sell it before you deliver it, which is perfect, which means you're infinitely flexible and you can keep changing it, and stick with it once it hits. But the idea is, yes, you're putting your energy and time into something. And so if you want to get something back for that energy and time, you have to try to pick steps that actually work. And you have to try to not get exhausted when you do it, right? You have to pick something that you're not going to get burned out, right? And so if we don't, in my experience, if we don't get someone to help us with our business, generally we end up doing things that don't, we do maybe some things that do work, some things that don't work, but we run out of energy faster. Whereas someone who's got a trained eye, right? Casey, myself, Brandy, we could look at what you're doing and say, oh, look, these 3 things that you're doing, these are the gold. Do more of that. And here, tweak it like that. And that way, with the same energy or less energy, you can have bigger results. And when you get energy back for what we've given, that's how you can sustain your effort over a long period of time. And that's an important mindset in business, is being able to sustain effort over a period. So just to summarize, the short answer is put out content with no business plan and just try to get an audience to receive it. Number 2, if you want to monetize it, figure out a couple key things that you can do for a while and try to get money back, right? Try to get energy back for your energy, because then you can sustain yourself. Hopefully that makes sense. Thanks.
It does make sense. Thank you. And Casey, same for you, obviously. What do you think are the appropriate conditions?
Yeah, I agree with so much of what you said, John. And I want to go a little bit back further before you actually start to share your gifts and magic with the world. And I just think it's really important to have a conversation around people doing the appropriate amount of healing work and shadow work before they start to work with other people in order to be in integrity and also to be able to sustain it and build something. Otherwise, it's going to come crashing down. And I know that everybody that goes into business is doing it because they want to help people. And sometimes we don't know what we don't know. And we don't realize that if we still have a bunch of like trauma and gunk and unhealed stuff that we might not even know is present, um, which makes it tricky if you don't know that, but that's why the healing journey and the shadow work journey is so important. You can spill your traumas and your stuff all over the people you're trying to help. You can project your stuff all over them. You can play trauma ping pong with them. You can, just have some unintended effects. So I think that it's just key that people go on their personal development journey first. And I've seen a lot of harm be done when people don't do that part first responsibly. It's not that you have to be totally healed. Entrepreneurship, though, is the fastest like shadow work healing journey you're going to go on, but you at least need to be able to sit in a session with somebody or be on a call and not get triggered by what's going on for them, if that makes sense. Then I'm a really big believer in the divine union between like study and apprenticeship and getting support and learning like what other people have done to be successful, including learning a system or two of transformation, some kind of modality or structure that is going to help make sure that you can support people in a way that like is beyond your personal experience. And then also bringing in the practice part. And so I run a few certifications and I have seen people who aren't quite ready to start working with other people like be really keen and they're like, I'm so ready. And then when they start to build their business, they have all of these like, again, shadow work things that come up and they're like just spun into personal development. So I love having that clear and clean channel first. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect, just further along on your journey than, someone who's going to spew their wounding all over people because we've had enough of that, right? If we're wanting to be in integrity. But then once you have a bit of that study, maybe you've learned a modality or you have intuitive gifts and things like that. I agree with John sharing them without trying to build a business out of it and practicing first. In all my certifications, I include a practicum portion that's like, share your gifts for free first. But first, you need to be deeply embodied in the work that you are doing for you, and then share it for free. And then you build that confidence up. And then you're like, oh, this stuff works so well. You can start to charge for it and charge for it. And it's really this like step by step process, I think, that can help create the flexibility for people to build something without feeling like they have to just like quit their job and go all in. It's like start where you're at and let yourself grow and get the guidance and support, because otherwise, you're going to be spinning your wheels. There will be probably some spaghetti at the wall stuff, and I think that's an important part of your business development. But after you've tried some things, really honing in on your unique gifts and what you're here to share and your voice in the marketing, while at the same time studying what people who are further along have been doing without let it overtaking your work, because like it's both and also, your own stuff, but also using that scaffolding so you're not reinventing the wheel each time, and just having fun with it. I also highly recommend, like I said, not quitting your job and going all in and making your entire survival and money dependent on this business that's a little tiny baby, right? Like just starting small, having another source of income while you're practicing, while you're growing, gives you that freedom to build in integrity and sustainably without having to go into some like things that feel unethical, or building it in a way that feels really like desperate for clients or for success. So I could say a lot more on that, but I'll just bring it back to you, Brandy or John.
If you are a small business owner looking to get in front of an audience of curious seekers, then the PsyChicks Collective might be the perfect fit for you. You'll be listed on our directory website and featured in all of our collective advertising efforts. Through our website, we provide aligned client matchmaking. People visiting our directory can send our collective members confidential messages that go into their email inbox. This is just one of the many ways that we help you advertise your unique business. The PsyChicks Collective is active, engaged, diverse, and full of people who are working in the light, sharing their gifts to empower others. We unite under our mission statement to empower self-love and self-trust through the casual exploration of the metaphysical. We would love to have you in our collective. What do you say? Will you join us? That's a really great answer, and I absolutely just want to kind of just bounce it back, but it's really important that people do that personal inner work first, that shadow work, and then also understand that that's going to be parallel also to their scaling and their growth. So it's never done. Also, there's a level you do before you start, and then there's going to be this constant like self work, because you want to open yourself up to have the capacity to actually hold a business of the size of your ambitions are high, but whether that be financially or mission specific or both, it is important to be working on yourself throughout the entire process. I love everything you guys said there, and you segueing perfectly into our next question here, which is, what makes a gift-based business not only successful, but also have a longevity? We see a lot of the time people, they go take their Reiki practitioner training and immediately they jump in and it starts, honeymoon phase really well. And then once their friends and family have all tried it, it like fizzles out. They can't scale beyond that. That's just an example that comes to mind. We see this with coaching businesses. We see this with whatever type of venture somebody may put up there that's sharing their gifts. So let's talk specifically about what they can do there. So how do we maintain it? How can we have longevity and build for legacy? Let's start with you this time, Casey, please.
Hmm. Ah, I'm already unmuted. Amazing. So this is, I think, one of my favorite things to talk to business owners about and people that want to have a gift-based business, because I think almost all of us start out with a modality or our own thing that we're doing that's an alchemy of everything that we know and our life experience. And we book single sessions for people of our intuitive reading or tarot cards or of Reiki or whatever, hypnosis, sound healing. We might be doing it one-on-one, or you might be doing the odd workshop with people. And it's amazing. I think that is where you should start and get your feet wet and figure all of that out. But I also know that practitioners, every practitioner I've ever met, who has gotten into a full-time business with that one-off model, just booking single sessions or workshops over and over again, if they get to their dream of being booked out and busy, it's great for about, I don't know, a year, and then they're like, I feel trapped. It's like the golden handcuff kind of situation where they can't actually grow their income. They can't take any time off. And it's really unsustainable. There's just like so much marketing and doing so many sessions with people all of the time. So I think that having a scalable business model that allows you to take your stop trading time for money and take your energy and be able to create something that is shifted in that regard, whether you're doing it one-on-one or in groups, is pretty much essential. So I like to call it taking people on a sacred journey. And that means instead of just saying like, here, I'm going to give you an hour of my time and I'm going to either read for you or I'm going to do a healing at you or for you or with you. Instead, you're going, I want to take you from where you are to where you want to go, right? Based upon your abilities and your life experience and your modalities and all of that. Not promising the moon, but having the skill set to take people from point A to point B lets you actually work with people on a longer term path. So I think personally, and this is controversial, all energy intuitives and psychics and healers should have coaching skills to take people on that longer journey, to be able to take the medicine that you're giving or the information you're giving and integrate it and implement it. And then when blocks come up, walk people through the block and also help them get access to their own intuition or their own healing ability or their own power, and really help them go through the identity shifts and embody that new energy. So that really is going from being a healer or a psychic into this guide or facilitator who could do something like what John offers with high ticket sales. If you're a one-to-many kind of person, instead of doing one-off workshops, you could take people on deeper journeys, whether that's over a retreat or a class that takes people from where they are to where they want to go, or bringing in other scalable models like masterminds, memberships even. That just keeps us from burning out. But I do want to make a caveat. I think in order to do that well, you do need to learn how to bring people on a journey and not just be like, I'm going to give it a try. But taking away the trading your time for money is, I think, essential on the journey to be able to have that sustainability, because the work that we do requires so much of you. I have a friend who says, my business is my part-time job, it's my side hustle, and my energy is my full-time job. So doing this allows you to spend more time working on yourself, doing your own shadow work, getting your own support, really like having that freedom to have the schedule that you want. All of those things can't be had if you were just constantly needing to book one session at a time. I know I couldn't have scaled to six figures and beyond and sustain that in that model. It would have absolutely killed me. So love to hear your thoughts, John.
I love what you share, and I think something to highlight, hopefully everyone listening is picking this up. Yeah, the transformational journey, right? Taking people on a longer journey. That's probably the most important shift that I'd recommend as well. Is like, first of all, if you're just starting, you just gotta get started. Give some free sessions away, right? There's like levels. I see it as there being steps, right? First thing, you have ideas, great. Okay, second thing, give some free sessions, help some people. Then charge a little bit for your sessions, 20 bucks, $33, even 100, $200 maybe, right? You're charging for your one-time sessions. Great. You gotta get experience, and you gotta get the right people in the seat who really want to be there so that there's someone to really receive it. And then you can get actually good testimonials, right? And so sometimes you got to charge in order to make all that happen, which is great. And then you get some experience selling, which is important. That's an obstacle for a lot of people is like, I know my work is great, but can I charge for it? Well, overcome that with very low prices at first and gradually build up. But then at some point, in my opinion, when you're used to doing all of that stuff, when you've gotten some of that down, you're charging a bit here and there, got some sessions. At some point, you have to, in my opinion, this is how I do it. You just kind of stack sessions and other types of support together in one direction towards a definite goal. And that's how you create a transformational program, right? And so you've kind of figured out, okay, I really like working with people who are at this general starting place. I really like helping them to get to this general ending place, whatever that might be. Better relationships, manifest wealth, get their health back on track, learn to meditate, whatever that is, right? Awaken their psychic gifts. Like you can create any outcome you want, like whatever you're good at, right? And that's where inner work comes in. You have to be very good at this thing, right? And so you know where they're starting, you know where you want to go, and then you just kind of think, well, what would it take to get them there? And you just stack sessions and other types of support in one direction towards that goal, and you call it a program, right? And it could be a loose program. It doesn't have to be like it's exactly 3 months. It had this first week, we definitely do this. Second week, we definitely do this. That's too much structure, right? But at least you know there's this number of sessions. You get to contact me in between sessions if you want. I'll give you this video, this workbook, whatever, right? You have a general list of stuff that they get, right? And in my opinion, be flexible with the time frame and how they get it. People are going to go faster, they're going to go slower. It doesn't really matter if it's one-to-one, especially. And you just start doing that. And the key that unlocks all of that, in my opinion, is getting the message right, right? What we're talking about is creating a great offer. And in order to sell a great offer, you need a great message. A great message will allow you to be in a category of one, right? At first, we start selling things that other people are selling also. We're selling Reiki, we're selling hypnotherapy, we're selling this style of meditation or whatever it is, right? You're selling other people's modalities, which is fine, but as long as you're doing that, you have to have a price that's comparable in the marketplace, right? People can price shop, they can price compare. Susie does $33 Reiki sessions down the street. Why should I pay 75 for you, right? And so at some point, you have to kind of create your own and you have to name it, right? And you have to create a process that is proprietary. And when you have that, you can kind of claim, look, I do something special that it doesn't exist anywhere else. And now you can start charging, premium prices. You can charge $1,000 for this 3-month program. You could charge 5,000 eventually for whatever it is, right? And so you remove price as a constraint by coming up with a great message and having a great offer. And once you can do that, now and you learn how to sell it, now and you have to learn a little bit of organic marketing, right? But once you have that, you're basically free at that point. That's the point where you're like, okay, I can write my own paycheck. The sky's the limit. I could have $1,000 to $5,000 weeks, $1,000 to $5,000 days, 10K days, like all that stuff opens up once you get to that point. But there are levels to it. And so that's why I really love what Casey's saying. Like that shift of going from single sessions to selling packages is the key. And I think messaging is how you unlock it, in my opinion. And if you're not there yet, you have to get there, right? Sell single sessions, give them for free first, get free testimonials, then start selling them, and then you're ready for this big transformation. And so one more thing I'll add to that, because I think the question was about success and sustainability. Is that about sustainability? So there's this little model that I've been working on with myself and teaching my clients that I really like. I call it high-end subscriptions. And so I recommend everyone creates a high-end subscription, right? And so that's like this package, but when you know that some people pay you in full upfront and some people go into your payment plan, then you end up getting cash that comes in every month just from the pay in fulls. And then you get some reliable cash flow that comes in from the payment plans. And so the payment plan money, when you get 10 people paying you 500 a month, plus occasionally someone pays you, 5K up front, now you have actual reliable income and, bonus money. And that's, in my opinion, when you have that and, good content to bring the leads in, that's the sustainability, in my opinion. And so, as Casey's talking about getting to six figures, like I did that too, my first 3 years in a row, six-figure cash business, years. And like you have like that's the formula. And so what is the key that unlocks all of that? If you're missing something at this point, it's going to be confidence, right? You just need some confidence. Like just go out and do it. And if you fail, then fix why you failed and then just keep going until like your confidence matches reality, and then all of what we just shared will work. Yeah.
I really appreciate those answers, and they are the perfect complement to our next question because all the questions kind of flow together. But now I want to shift and talk about the integrity component of this conversation because there's a balancing act that is going to be at play as you scale. And all three of us on the screen right now have all experienced this in our own businesses. And so I think what resonates is as this happens and you start juggling more people, more personality types, more unique situations, things where it goes like, okay, here are my 10 clients and I've got this under control, things can change. Also, if you're adding any kind of like social media audience building, things can change. Then you have your own stuff that you got to keep under control, but life's, right? So we're riding this roller coaster constantly, and we're talking about things like scarcity concerns. So, all of a sudden you lose clients, you don't have that reliable income. So you start to be like, oh, maybe I'm going to waver a bit on my ethics. Maybe I'm going to try some not so proven things. Like this is where people end up kind of off script. Everybody now, I like to think of it as like second, third generation, the internet gold rush. But everybody now has had some experience where they've paid for something from some form of practitioner or online business and been disappointed. The veil's pulled up. Like there's all sorts of concerns now about the integrity within this industry. And then specifically in the helping, healing, and alternative wellness space, that niche itself has, for better or for worse, developed a reputation for itself that now we all have to either kind of fight against or be, the breath of fresh air in a competitive space. So let's talk about it. Let's talk about how a person, as they are scaling, as they're developing their signature programs, as they're growing, how do you do that balancing act of maintaining client care, outcome, quality of your work, staying grounded in your own ethics and value pillars while also scaling? So let's talk. What do you think? We're starting with you, John.
Yeah, great question. Well, okay. So in my opinion, the generally from what I've seen, the spiritual audience, like who's listening to this, I don't think that we really need the lecture on integrity that much. I think that's the strong suit from those listening. I think from the people who I meet, they already got the integrity, not fully or anything, but like we have it enough where our integrity is like stronger than our skill in like doing business, right? And our alignment is there to some extent. We're not going to do things that feel unaligned. Like, do you guys resonate with that? Like, you're not going to do something that feels unaligned. I think most people are like that, right? Most a spiritually tuned person is going to be like that. And so I think actually that we need to unground ourselves and that we use that as a freaking whip to like beat ourselves with sometimes, and we chastise ourselves. We give ourselves too much the integrity talk, and we give ourselves too much this authenticity talk. Sometimes you just need to believe in something before it exists. If you're going to be an entrepreneur, you have to be someone who follows a vision that only you can see, and that you make it real before anyone else can see it. It's real for you, but no one can see it yet besides you. And you make it real through belief. And it kind of takes you off the ground like an airplane taking off, right? And so I almost like want to give the opposite answer here, which is like, if you're listening to this, you probably don't need to think more about integrity or authenticity in general, right? In general, that's not the missing piece. The missing piece is self-belief that you, like, whatever you want to do, that you can do, and the impact that you want to have, you can have. And you're not going to hurt anyone by giving them some sessions. You're not going to hurt their life. They're not going to, people don't expect to have their whole life change when they spend $100 on a session or even $1,000. Like, you can, if you set the expectations properly, you're not going to hurt anyone. So integrity in business comes down to over promising, right? That's the mistake that people make. There's two mistakes, right? You're either over promising results that you can't deliver, which, by the way, most people don't even buy that type of thing anymore. They, when you over promise, there's like red flags. And so like it doesn't really work anyway. And so don't over promise, number one. You can paint a desirable picture that they want to be in, but you don't promise that they'll get there. You promise that you'll do your part to help them get there, right? Which is fair. I think to be honest, I think the main mistake that people make in business, Brandy mentioned the scarcity mindset. We end up working with people who are not qualified. I feel like that's the major mistake that we make is we pick clients who are not ready. Anyone who's got money, we're like, yes, I can help you, but sometimes they're not at the right starting place. And so when I started this call, I said, I do high ticket, right? Because that model, I've seen that model monetize very well for the type of person that I am and the type of person that I help. It's a good model, right? It makes sense. It's not that much work. You make money and you help people, but it's not that complicated, right? And so like I tell people right away, like if someone wanted me to help them grow their insurance business, I said, I don't do that. I only do this, right? I don't do that. I don't do that. I have a list of 100 things I don't do. I only do this one thing. And so by having very clear boundaries and knowing exactly who you help and what you help them do, you can say no to everyone else. And I think that is for me, that's a giant piece of integrity, is just being able to say no to the wrong person and not promising the right person, but sort of just you know, saying, yes, I can definitely help you to the right person. And so that's the answer about integrity. One more part of your question was about client results and balancing like work, life, and all that stuff. In my opinion, and this is maybe the highlight I wanted to say, client results are your business. Client results are your whole business. Every part of your business is about client results. And so client results is not separate from your business. Like you can't make money if you don't get great client results. And every great client result is your best marketing that brings in your best clients. And so that's how I think of it. That's how I learned early on is like, don't even focus on your marketing at first. Focus on getting amazing results for your clients and then just take those and talk about them in your marketing and your sales process. And that will give you better clients than any type of fancy copywriting can give you. I used to ask my clients, why did you, like, hey, what made you want to sign up? Oh, I saw you posting great testimonials and I just wanted to do that too. That's like the easiest way. And so don't think about client results as being over here and like making money on your business over here. Like they're not separate. It's almost like all you have to do is get great client results and then talk about it on repeat, and you will have lots of clients. And as I said in the beginning, all you have to do is believe in yourself enough to get that cycle started, right? It's a cycle. The better client results, the more clients you get. The better clients results, the more clients you get. And you have to believe in yourself to get that process started, to get people paying you more and more and more, because that will attract better clients who sit down with more intention and more openness to receive what you've got. And so that's kind of the answer to that question. Thank you.
Great answer. Great answer. Casey?
I love what you were saying, John, about the integrity in what you're promising and who you're working with. And I think that kind of honesty is absolutely essential. I think we absolutely have to be so clear about what it is that we're able to do and not overpromise and also be so clear on the kind of person that we are going to get the best results for. And you know what? That does take some practice. That does take the, like, you gotta mess around and find out and make some mistakes, right? And you figure, oh yeah, actually I can't help that kind of client. So that's where the starting really small, doing free sessions, doing low ticket things for people is so helpful, and getting the practice there. And also having a system that works, that you know for sure, if you're talking to the right person, that you will be able to support them getting that transformation. So I'm just a really, really big fan of, again, the study and making sure that you've got like modalities or systems or structures, and then alchemizing your lived experience and the magic that you do, so you can blend something that's quite seamlessly to give those client results. And I wish I could agree with you about we don't have to talk about integrity in the spiritual world. Sadly, sadly, I spend a lot of my time cleaning up messes that practitioners and teachers and guides have made of other people. And like, I have so many of my high ticket clients that come to me with massive trauma from spiritual practitioners who talked a really good game and they were fabulous at marketing, but they were out of integrity with what they were promising or with what they were doing. And the work that they were doing was not either trauma informed, or it was just a little off of the mark and it was harming people. I can think of at least 10 clients that I have worked with one on one who have paid me high ticket, who have cried because of the harm that they have had in those sessions with other people or programs they've taken that didn't deliver what they got, where they were, shamed and all kinds of crazy stuff. So I wish I could believe in everybody as much as you do, but I have also hired mentors and paid them high ticket and realized that their marketing, chef's kiss, amazing, sounded exactly like what I needed, but I was naive and I missed some red flags, and they had no idea what they were doing, and they had no business being in the role that they were in. And I was like, oh gosh, holy crap. I regret nothing about those investments that I made. And I am talking to the tune of probably over $50,000 in total, like with mentors who could not do what they said they could do. So that's why they were out of integrity. I don't regret it because I learned so clearly what not to do and how I wanted to show up and run my business. And also, I could teach that to my students. So we, in my certifications, where I'm training people how to be able to be high ticket coaches, how to be able to charge high prices. I train them how to be in integrity. We make sure that things are trauma informed. We make sure that people aren't working out of their scope. I train people in how to work with the divine to make sure that they're getting the etheric support that they need. I train people to make sure they know how to work with all five of the realms that people need support with. Because if you don't know how to work with someone's mindset, if you don't know how to even like do anything with someone's nervous system or recognize when it is in fight or flight, then you're not going to have results. I train people to work with people's emotions and how to hold space and set up the expectations, set up containers in ways that are going to allow people to really get what you are promising. So I think everything that you were saying, John, is like so key. And also, people need to learn how to do that, or you run the risk of messing around and just trying to figure it out on your own and making mistakes with people's energy and money and lives, honestly. So I really, again, divine union of study and getting apprenticeship and training with people that you know have integrity, and then also practicing and then weaving it together. And, just if you do make a mistake or you do harm somebody or someone doesn't get results, being in integrity, or if you've promised something, refund them if you can't deliver. You know what I mean? Or if you know that they had a terrible time. There's just ways to do it, not working out of your scope and not promising things that are absolutely impossible for you to do. Or all of that. There's just so many ways that people can actually inadvertently, most of the time, through their ignorance or just on because they don't know what they don't know, harm people. So I think it's our duty to do as much as we possibly can to train to make sure that doesn't happen. And then know who you are, what you're capable of, and who your clients are, like you're saying, and deliver what you can. And you start without making those big promises, and then you grow into it. Now, the stuff that I can help people with, after 15 years of doing it full time, it's very different than what I could offer 15 years ago with only, one or two modalities and my desire under my belt. So I really think that we do need to make sure that we are doing our ultimate best to be cautious around that and not just hope for the best, because it doesn't always work out like that. Ooh, I want to say one more thing too. Um, like I also think that in order to deliver the best client results, this is slightly different when we are scaling and when we actually have a lot of people on our roster. There's a couple things that we can do as business owners. Number one is really prioritize our energy, our health, our mindset, all of that, so we have the energy to give, and also create systems and structures that support us, not limit us, because I know a lot of us can be very much like, I want to be in the flow. Yeah, but you can't actually hold enough if you don't have the structures. I'm talking, you might need support team, you might need standard operating procedures, you might need to automate things, and also having very clear expectations and boundaries around your time and how you're delivering. If your clients are able to reach out to you between sessions and you're doing Voxer or WhatsApp or Telegram chats, like, when can they reach out? When are you responding? What are they expecting to get from you? Are you over giving? Like, we have to really get clear on how we are holding things and making sure that it's not gonna crush us over time, because be very uh, we can easily bite off more than what we can hold for a long time, and then it doesn't become sustainable. So focusing on you and your integrity and your energy first, and then building those unsexy systems that can hold you so you have the freedom to enjoy and to scale and to not try to hold too much at once.
Because we had two perspectives here, I do want to give Jonathan an opportunity to respond with any thoughts to that before we move on to Q&A.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I was feeling compelled to share something about that. Thank you, Casey, for what you said. I agree with what Casey said. Yeah. And so just because I don't see it that much and deal with it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Right. So what she's saying is obviously true. Right. And so I've heard about this. People in the spiritual world doing crazy things, offering what they can't, deliver and stuff. And I think the fact that I don't work with people who are in that situation necessarily is only because of the boundaries, very strict and tight and clear boundaries that I have on my own process. Like I just have an energy that sort of like repels a certain kind of person and it only allows in another type of person. And I just have been clear from the very start. I only want to work with very spiritually advanced people, right? And so that's a very important value of mine. And so that's who comes through my filter. And so, yeah, I don't have to work with them on some of those integrity things necessarily because I've filtered that way, kind of consciously and unconsciously. And so I just wanted to say, like, I very much agree with what she said, and that work that she's doing is extremely important. Um, and so, yeah. Uh, on the other hand, what I'm saying is like you can choose who you want to work with, just like I do. And so, anyway, hopefully that helps. Yeah.
Yeah, I think this is a great conversation to continue and always be having because I just love to share with everybody one of the main reasons why I created PsyChicks, and a lot of members in our collective are like John, Casey, but some of our members are beginners. They're just learning how to, get paid for a tarot card reading instead of doing it for free. We have diverse experience levels inside of PsyChicks, and what I have learned about that, right, is having exposure to people, first of all, who have had certain experiences and are willing to share, not gatekeep on information, but actually support other people at every phase of their entrepreneurship journey. Because I do think that the one other nuanced aspect of this conversation is if someone is a beginner, that's just where they are, right? Like getting that first $30 for a tarot card reading for somebody is a big deal. Now, that can inspire them and motivate them. And next, now they've got 10 clients and then they're growing. And we all have to go through these different like learning phases. And a lot of times when people talk about, oh, this coach who traumatized them or this bad experience they had, well, they kind of maybe got caught in somebody's beta. It doesn't mean that that person necessarily lacked integrous, intentionally set out to hurt people. Sometimes that's the case, but I think that's more or less the rare case. Sometimes people, they have some success with marketing. Maybe they, run some ads with a person who's experienced with ads, and all of a sudden, like things are more than they can handle. They bit off more than they can chew, and that, from my experience in the background doing marketing, actually happens, right? What happens if it goes well and you're not ready to hold that capacity? But that said, I've learned in working with beginners to remember that, where people come from doesn't mean that's where they're always going to stay. And I love that Casey brought up even if you are making these mistakes, because a lot of entrepreneurship sometimes is stumbling forward, experiencing being, overwhelmed. It's how you handle those situations, the lack of defensiveness, not being like, oh, I'm not going to refund this, or burying your feet in the sand. Those are the kind of things that really are toxic in this space because sometimes people aren't willing to admit. But integrity is also self-evaluation, willingness to admit when you're wrong, to step back. I've had to rework PsyChicks multiple times through the different incarnations, whether something that once worked didn't work later on, or kind of the needs of the collective has changed, or how Facebook's even treating what we're doing has changed. So I understand that firsthand, and even in previous businesses. So we want to give that same grace to other people if you're on the receiving end of that. But it's about how a person kind of bounces back in the big picture of what they're doing. And if you're somebody who is a beginner, you don't want to set yourself up for that to happen to you because it's going to really like discourage you in your confidence. I've seen that so many times. People go all in so hot and fast that they burn themselves out. They definitely do end up juggling things that they're not ready to juggle, and then they quit. So they're like these pop-up businesses essentially that are like popping up all over the place, having a boom bust, are gone. They're disappeared from the internet or gone on to something else and gone trend chasing. So while we collect the Q&A questions, I want to talk about that. The I don't think we really got into the sustainability and the legacy component of this conversation. Building for legacy, thinking about your business with like a 10-year, what are you going to be doing 10 years from now? What setting that mission, starting to establish your business to be something that's really going to be, you can grow into it, maybe you can sell it, maybe you can evolve it and bring in other people. Let's talk about that. Don, do you have any thoughts on that? Building a business for long-term legacy?
Well, I haven't gotten that far for myself. That's outside of my scope, I would say.
That's
Um,
okay. Let's just talk. Let's talk about it from a hypothetical standpoint because I'm in the exact same boat. I'm in the exact same boat. I'm not there yet. I'm trying to build for legacy. So just to
yeah.
recognize that, let's talk what you think about that.
Okay, so here's how I think of it is obviously number one, what you do needs to be like on brand for yourself, like following a big vision, right? I think that's the way you start anything is like, what's the big vision of what you really want to create 10, 20 years down the future? So you have that big vision, and then what I like to do is figure out, okay, what's one thing I can do today that will bring me closer? Or what's a business I can build today? Maybe my big vision requires a bunch of money to build. Maybe it requires a big network and community or something, right? And so, what's one thing I can do? What's the business I can build today? And that's where I mentioned service businesses. I think memberships can do it. Like a business where you're giving your expertise and your energy in exchange for money is a simple type of business that I would 100% recommend. And so the way I think of it is whatever the big vision is, I'm going to need a few things to make that happen, right? I'm going to need some cash, right? Cash flow potentially. I'm going to need an audience and community, right? I'm going to need skills. I'm going to need a network. And so why don't I focus on doing those things today? So I can do a business where, yeah, I make some money today, but I'm also building a community along with it. Yeah, I'm going to have a thing that I offer right now, but I'm building my network along with it. I'm building my skill set along with it, right? Along the way, if I learn how to monetize well, I'm making money along with it. Those are the things that I'm going to need for my big vision anyway. Right. And so it's like you're in a vehicle, but you've packed it with all the things that you actually need for your big vision. And so that's how I think of it. One more thing to add to that would be you're going to want to think about investing when it comes to legacy, right? Like there's active income and passive income. Your business is active income. Alex Hermosi has this saying that I love. He wants to make active income cool again or whatever, right? Because everyone's all, by the way, when most people try to sell you passive income, it's not truly passive income. You should have a red flag when someone says passive income. Probably it's not, right? So passive income comes through investing, not from business, right? So your business builds active income, but you should be looking for ways, places where you can put it, where it can earn money without any effort. There's different things, right? And so that's the only thing I'd add to it is like make more money, like probably much more money than what you need, but like don't spend it all. Don't live on what you make. You have to invest good portions of it so that later that becomes something that you can live on and there's your legacy wealth. So anyway, those are some ideas. Hopefully that is helpful.
No, that's great. And I hope it's okay for Casey if I weigh in on that. Like you said, I agree. People should found their business with a mission, like past the beta phasing, like once they've got that transformation or that program in mind, they've done some brand work, a mission statement, that kind of is something that holds you accountable to like where you're driving that car, right? So if you have something that's like, it has to be broad enough that there's expansion inside of it, but it's like people talk about their soul's purpose, what they believe, their souls come here to do or achieve. Your mission is likely going to be in alignment to something that, as well as relate to your lived experience, so your story, like where you started and your own transformation. But having a mission statement, I always try to encourage people to that so they have something holding them accountable to this vision of legacy. And that way, when you are writing those bumps, those ups and downs, when you're having to readjust or pivot, can that hold up? And obviously, the mission statement might also evolve, but I do find that that's a pretty concrete way to hold yourself accountable to this big idea that you have, while you also are mastering these kind of micro steps inside of the development. Uh, I was just sharing a little of my thoughts on that to bounce off what you said, but I'd love to hear what you think about this, Casey.
I'm going to be honest, I think it's hubris to think that we can plan a 10-year vision at this massive time of transformation because everything is shifting so fast. But I do think we should be thinking of legacy. But the last time I had a 10-year vision for myself, I'm thinking back about 4 or 5 years ago, I was like, okay, I have this modality. I'm gonna learn how to teach it or I'll figure out how to teach it to people in about 10 years. And then Spirit was like, oh, no, you don't. And like sent me on a whole experience that collapsed my 10-year plan into 1 years and gave me just like this whole, like, I'm actually not the one in charge here. Understanding of the divine timing, although I'm a part of that. So how I handle this with my clients and with myself is I do it in a much more mystical way where I don't think that I'm trying to figure it out from the mind level. I like connecting people with the oversoul of their business and their highest self, and then bring forward future versions of themselves on their highest timeline who've been putting in the work. And I get them to like channel it and actually meet and merge and download the codes with all of those pieces of them. And so they can get the information that is usually so different than what the mind could possibly create. And when we do that, we also wind up collapsing the time because we already get the stuff. So that can speed up the process as well. And I think we don't have the creativity or vision for our life that the divine has for us. So learning how to bring that down to earth and actually work with it and use it is one of my favorite coaching pieces, like mystical coaching, transformational journey type things.
I love how you put that and bringing in the divine, and that happens all the time. It's happened multiple times with Side Chicks. 2023, we did in-person events, and when I found it, I thought in-person events, the meet mixers and meetups would be further down the line as part of the vision. I definitely thought that, and then 2023, and it was certain things pushed me and it was like, you're doing this now. Now you're doing this now. I ended up doing three of them in 3 months to see how it felt and jump right into it, to test the waters on that. And those are the kind of things that do happen when you're in alignment and you're in that conversation with your higher source. And I absolutely agree with that. Okay, everybody, I would love to hear from some of our attentive guests tonight. So we are sitting here we've lost a few, but we have about 9 of you here with us. So if you would like to utilize the wisdom of our collective members here, this is an opportunity and you're going to get a great answer. They're very experienced, very knowledgeable, work with people at various levels. So please take the opportunity to ask what you'd like to ask. If we don't have any questions, I will just come up with some, or I'll pull from my notes here and we'll talk a little longer. But I would love to hear from the audience. That's why we're doing these as Q&As. So this is a special opportunity. Ask something. If you're sitting there going, I don't want to, maybe my question will be strange, or don't feel self-conscious. This is like you can just ask it in the chat if it's you don't want to get on camera. I really encourage you to take advantage of what we have here. Uh, Anybody? If you don't know how to raise your hand, I will direct you on, well, Zoom 101. For people who are here as a guest, there should be a picture of a little hand. Unfortunately, if you're on mobile, I can't tell you necessarily where to find that. I'm not 100% sure about Zoom on mobile because it's different on different phones and different devices I've found. But you're looking for a hand. That's going to allow you to raise that, and then I'll be able to select you and bring you on. So if anybody is sitting there, has got a curious question, you can ask them what they ate for dinner, whatever you want to do here. It's under the reactions toolbar on the mobile. Thank you, Casey. That's all right. I guess.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Hi, Heather. What question do you have for our panelists? I'm asking you to unmute. I hope it.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Good. Hi. So I'm new here. I was just wanting to hear a little bit about where psychics markets on social media. I saw Instagram, Facebook, but how they go about, what sort of marketing channels you guys have for practitioners.
I suppose I'm the best suited person to answer that question. So Heather, I'm the founder of PsyChicks, and the currently PsyChicks main platform is our Facebook group and our website, which is a directory website. So the website itself is one of our main marketing channels. It's SEO optimized for things like metaphysical community to join, those kind of keywords. So it does get thousands of visitors, and then we have a directory hosted there. And each collective members directory has a way that they can then receive messages to have a confidential conversation with a business model. It's called lead servicing. I didn't invent it, but as far as I know, I'm the only one in this niche doing it in the way that I am. And then that's for the PsyChicks Collective. We also have our community, which is our Facebook group. Keeping it on Facebook is for the time being because we've tried to do other things with like Mighty Networks, and so people just don't want to log into any of their apps. So the community is the bump in place, though. The community itself is where if you were to join the collective, you get the most marketing exposure. And I have a very open my casa, you casa, treat it as if you built it yourself approach to sharing my Facebook group as a actual true community for our collective members to support. So the collective members come and we all kind of unite under the shared mission statement to empower self-love and self-trust. So whatever your business model is, as long as that resonates, we are completely open to having whomever, whatever experience level. I provide coaching resources, different materials and stuff, mostly on a request basis these days from the collective members to help support them with utilizing the Facebook group. But we run Facebook ads to grow that Facebook group as well as rely on the SEO from the website. And that's how it works. It allows you to get an advertising platform that is shared with other collective members. Obviously, you don't get it all for yourself at a very affordable price comparable to if you were running your own ad campaigns or trying to set up your own kind of SEO. And it's been good as far as the marketing aspect, but I am understating the component of being part of the community. And there's two parts of the community, which is practitioners as well as just what I call our curious seekers, people at various levels of their own spiritual awakenings, looking for information, knowledge, people going through common things, people with shared interests, because there's an entertainment component also to exploring the metaphysical. So the community is really where we thrive and we work together to try to nurture that and make that feel genuine. So no matter where people are located all over the world, the collective works with me to create that space to, I think it's a fairly sacred space. It's a really unique experience compared to some of the other spiritual Facebook groups. And that's not just because of me, that's because of all our diverse collective members. So there's some insight on that. And feel free to reach out to me if you're curious about joining us, because I'd love to hear what you're up to, but we definitely would be open to that.
Thank you. Yeah. With respect, may I ask another question, or I guess I could
Yeah,
wait until to see if
yeah,
anybody
sure,
else has
Heather.
any questions. Does
Well,
anybody else have any questions
we have
first?
another person on the queue, but since you're unmuted and you're here, just if your question's quick, go ahead, please.
Is there in the Facebook group, I know algorithm plays a big part, and that's where I've had my most struggles. Do you guys share each other's posts, or is there something that you guys do in there that kicks the algorithm up?
So I will take that one as well. But if there's any algorithm secrets you two are holding, feel free to weigh in. But one of the things we do is sometimes we'll do a post bump for each other. So it is true engagement, like especially initially after posting, getting engagement on that post kind of allows the algorithm to take off and show it to more people from our group. So there are times the collective collaborates. If one person's trying to get some legs on something, they will post and share with the rest of the collective members. And whoever wants to help on that, there's no mandatory like or manipulation of that, but we just support each other as collective members. If somebody's doing that for you, you try to do that for them. We try to be a true collective in the sense that if we don't provide a service, but we get a lead, we pass that lead on to each other. We understand that like some people are looking for a high ticket client, some people are looking just to do readings and healing services, so we can kind of know the collective, get to know the collective and share referrals within ourselves as I think a true collective would behave. And that happens really organically. I really don't try to force it, but as far as algorithm goes, you got to make yourself an active character, a visible character in the Facebook group to benefit from it. And it's just like we're all in the same boat when it comes to Facebook, but I do post tons of resources, tons of tricks. That is one of the things that like is kind of a juicy gem of Facebook insider secrets inside of my membership. As a collective member, you get to come in and I help people out with that as much as I possibly can based on what I know works. Do you have
Thank
any
you.
thoughts on that, John, Kathy? Because I see you both reacting, and maybe you want to contribute something about algorithms or what you found. Because I know, John, you know some things about organic marketing, and you know it's not your first rodeo either, Casey. So if you guys want to just talk about that broadly.
I wasn't going to add anything to that question. Yeah, I think that was more for you. Yeah, I think my main advice for marketing and content is you just gotta get started, do more of it than you think you should, do a bunch, don't judge it. Think of your content as like art. Like there's a few different ways to think about content. I'm reading into the question about there's a struggle with organic marketing, and so I'd say like this is what I tell people, right? Your content is either a way to express something beautiful that you want to exist, right? It's to grow yourself because you think it's a good challenge to make one every day or go live or whatever, or to serve others or to surrender to divinity. So those are four things: express, grow, serve, surrender. Those are good motivations to do something. And if you can find a motivation like that within yourself, there's no reason to not make content. And you'll make great content and you'll do it a lot and you won't get burned out by it because you're not looking for a result from it. You're just doing it because you want to. There's an intrinsic value to it. Does that make sense? And so, again, I'm reading into that question, and I do think people generally overthink it. So that's the answer I give to myself and my students. um, do it with any of those four motivations, and you'll do it more, and it'll be good, and people will receive it, and then it'll work.
You
Hopefully
had
that
something
helps.
great to contribute to that because, I immediately wanted to go in and plug the value of the collective because I do teach how to do the organic marketing piece with Facebook groups. But you hit it on the head because I talk about I do it for the fun and the joy, and that's why I've been able to build a platform because people can feel that I'm having fun online, and I truly believe that is the attraction to side chicks, period, is that as the person who founded it and leads it, I try to infuse joy, fun, play into it. While we talk about the serious, various sometimes serious aspects of our healing journeys, you can still have fun. And we started out very much like a meme group. It felt like sometimes that just people relatable, very specific niche memes was part of the growth strategy for the group itself. But I'm really glad you said that because you don't really want to worry about catering to these machines and their algorithms and their rules and stuff. I've never seen that work out for somebody who's tracing tactics, has been on the strategy side, and I have had large pre side chicks. I ran an agency and I've had also other small memberships that were more like social media marketing coaching. And at the end of the day, the people who were getting it were creating, just like John mentioned, through an artistic expression, joy, flow, and they'd get lift. And the people who were coming were like, just tell me the secret, just tell me the tactics, just tell me the right thing to post and say, who were looking too much for the right answer. They're really hard to help because it's got to come from something else because you're going to burn out chasing success in a environment that is a robotic environment. It is based on human behavior, but it's not factoring in like the soul or the spirit, the creative component that makes something intriguing and gets people to interact. And even if you only reach one or two people with a post, one or two people could be moved by it, and it could lead to a client or some form of, positive effect. So having large numbers, having large reach, or being able to manipulate things, like it's easy to get 100 shares on a meme, but if you don't know how to leverage that, or that meme wasn't really specific to draw in the right audience for you, you're still not going to win. I used to teach this thing called meme magic, and I tried to teach people how to create these hyper-specific memes to blow up their socials, but it works, but it only works if it's hyper-specific. So that's a practical example of that. So again, it's a great answer, John, and it's really more the truth of it than anything else. Casey, do you have any thoughts on this?
You guys covered so much, and I think that it's always like all of this. It's not just one thing. So I want to touch on the personal energetic side that I see blocking most people. It's the visibility fears and the people pleasing and all of these wounds and traumas, maybe a witch wound, a light worker persecution complex, and a people pleasing, like perfectionist thing that keeps us from actually just being our fully magnetic, magical selves that will attract the right people beyond the algorithm. There's a lot that goes in energetically that I love working with people on to become this clear channel for your magic and your voice and your tones to flow through. And we have to get so rooted and grounded and stable and confident in ourselves that I hope it's okay to swear in here, but I say it's
Yeah,
like
sure.
becoming unfuckwithable so that you don't care if your content reaches the wrong people. right? Or the right people, and you get a bunch of things. Most people are holding themselves back from saying what they want to say, from being their weird, wild, wonderful self that's going to attract their soulmate clients. Most people are also being way too boring in their content and will create content and being like, I wonder why this is not converting. It's like, would this make you click on it and read it and go like, oh, I want to know more? So there's all this blend of the personal and the energetic stuff with your unique magic that you get to play with, and also learning some of the messaging and the sales psychology pieces that might feel kind of boring and felt really icky to me. But when I studied them, it was like, I don't want to do this, but I learned it anyway. And then I practiced it enough and it felt kind of weird and off until I did it enough that became really organic and natural and part of what I do. It was easier to bring that, again, the divine union between the structure and the templates and the things that are going to hit like a good hook, um, and the sales psychology of making this applicable to somebody instead of just yourself, and all of those things with your organic, innate, magical, mystical self that is supposed to be witnessed, that can like magnetize in through frequency almost alone. Then I think you have the best chance at not even worrying about what the algorithm is doing.
Yeah. Heather, did you get the answer you seek or so much more?
I appreciate all of the insight. I do social media for my own group as well as some friends of mine, and they have probably 50, I would say more than a lot of people, members. I can't even think, probably close to 20,000 members. And I feel like my posts just don't get the reach. They just don't. It's like I'll get like just a few reactions. And I think it's the algorithm, and it's just trying to figure out. I've noticed that when posts are shared into other groups, and that's how I will do it on my own group, is I will share them into multiple groups. Then I get more reaction. I obviously more visibility. And it seems like sharing it really helps people see it more, obviously. But yeah, I just wondered if there was anything that you guys like did to boost the visibility. Yeah, it just algorithm that seems to.
Yeah, no, there's definitely a lot of resources on that in the collective. So do send me a message after and we can talk about that. We're going to move on
Okay.
to our other
Thanks so
hand
much.
raiser. You're very welcome, Heather. Thank you so much for sharing. Uh, so Jamna or Jam, I do not know what to do here with this name, so I'm just gonna
It's all good.
let it be.
That's
But
my,
thanks for your
that's
patience and
okay.
waiting. Go ahead with your question for us, please.
Yeah, yeah. It's my first and last name smashed together, Jammin. So, um, but I appreciate this opportunity. Thank you for pulling this together and giving us an opportunity to learn more. I'm going to be launching into um, astrology reading shortly here. And I come from the world of sports, so I'm very accustomed to release of liability waivers from a sport perspective. So if I'm engaging people and helping them to do their sport, then I need to release the liability. So in case, I hurt them, hopefully not. But same thing, I'm assuming it goes with this world, metaphysics. Um, I'm just wondering if you can address where to start to figure out the legal component that we might need to cover ourselves for liability in the metaphysical business world.
Uh, Jonathan, would you like to weigh in on that? Do you know anything about that? Is that an area you have?
It's not
No,
my
no.
expertise, the liability. That's like a legal question, I think.
Yeah, there's I let Casey speak before I say anything.
I love that you're thinking about that. And there's so many practitioners out there that just kind of hope for the best in that scenario. But there are a few insurance agencies that will give you liability coverage. One that I have used is called Zensurance, and they will basically help you with that and create a plan that can help you either in your location or worldwide, and you can get liability coverage for a bunch of different things depending on what it is specifically that you're doing. I don't do astrology readings, so I don't know on that side, but I used to do a lot of in-person work. A lot of stuff included movement, so I would have a liability waiver. Absolutely. I recommend that if people are doing any kind of retreat or workshop or in person, to definitely get people to sign them. If I I would be lying if I said I did literally remember every single time, because every once in a while I'd be doing just like a little intimate event with mostly people that I knew, and there wasn't really anything risky. So I was like, oh, it's fine. They're not going to sue me. That was probably stupid of me, but I got really lucky. When it comes to online business, I think that a lot of what we can do can be put into the terms and conditions that are on our website when it comes to signing up for our programs. And I have, for my one-on-one high ticket work, a contract that basically uh, shares what is going to keep me and the client safe. It also like highlights expectations, working on like the refunds. It also talks about, like mental health issues and things like that, and like out of scope. It's just, you can find templates for other terms and conditions and contracts that you can use that are going to cover your butt, and you should have them, because sometimes stuff happens and it's better to be prepared. There's also a company called Ayubenda that will help you be up to date with your both terms and conditions, but also the legalities of your websites and things like that. Because if you're working on a global scale, it's really hard to keep track of everything that you need to have for like Europe and Canada and North America and Australia and everything like that. So there are resources, and I use that for keeping up with the like legality and everything on like compliance and collecting information and everything like that too. So lots of things you can do.
Thank you, Casey, for sharing all that. I was only going to speak to with the intuitive readings and psychic readings, anything that um, mediumship, anything that's going to get into the making life decision area. I had to look quite a bit into that when starting PsyChicks to just make sure, like, what that looks like as far as running a collective. It's one of the reasons I don't collect any payments on behalf of any of our collective members, just to make sure that it's like we're an advertising opportunity, we're a platform, but they're all supposed to have their stuff together as far as like how they're managing their business. But everybody should have a disclaimer that they are not a doctor. You should consult your actual, professionals before making any major life changes. This is for entertainment purpose only, is very important. If you're doing intuitive readings, anything that's getting into the life advice, even on that fringe of coaching where you may think, well, I don't want to say that it's for entertainment. If it's not a proven um, process or a recognized process and you are growing, it is important to have that in your terms and conditions, that the expectations around it is that it is unproven, and that this, you are not, I'm not a counselor, I'm not a psychologist, I'm not a therapist, I'm not a medical doctor. Clarifying those things in places where people can visibly see them before they engage with you, to kind of assure that you're not putting yourself in a situation where you're vulnerable. I found that that is all really important, but it's interesting because it is kind of the Wild West out there. I mean, if you go and find the, you know, psychic hotline type websites, they have those statements in there and stuff, and that's all largely unchecked, unmoderated. Like whatever happens in those chats happens in those chats, and people are playing at their own risk, and that exists in the world, and their disclaimers are fairly broad. So it's just important to make sure you cover yourself, and assure that these things are put out there so that you are in some ways working in people's lives, influencing them, even if something as simple as a card reading, you just want to make sure you're saying, this is for entertainment. I am not, here to manipulate your life. And also, as you grow in experience of that, you'll learn to do that kind of work in a way that's assuring also that you're not leading, you're more being a mirror to that person. But that said, for beginners, I'm like, make sure you're clarifying that, like, this is all largely unproven and experimental and for fun. It's serious, but it's also, they must understand what they're participating in. I hope that's valuable. Are you going to be doing readings or anything of that nature, I suppose?
Yeah, yes, I'm getting ready to launch that. I want to do it, for the holidays right around the corner, and I'm just getting started. So I'll be, one of those free readings or low cost readings, to get some traction.
Yeah. Well, then I'm just going to recommend make sure you do that little bit of a, blurb on your checkout page at minimum that this is not medical advice. This is not for if you, consult professionals before making any major life decisions and such. And that at a beginner phase, I think that'll cover you. And then Casey's advice is also excellent as you are looking into making sure that you're really well covered there.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Casey, would you be able to drop those names in the chat so I can see how they're spelled?
So we have a question in the chat. If we are, sorry, I don't want to be rude. Are you have any more asked to add, or are we
Oh, no, I was just asking if Casey could drop the names of those insurance guidance in the chat.
okay, thank you. We're gonna move on to another question. I hope that's all right.
Yep,
All right,
that's
so
fine.
we have a question from the chat here. It is, will you both touch on your actual first time you realized your gifts? So they're talking specifically about your gifts. Uh, Tell us what those are and how you realized them or where they show up, where they showed up.
I guess I'll start since Casey's typing. Um, well, it's probably different for me than it is for probably mostly everybody else here, I would guess. So I did it. I started with psychology, right? And so I wanted to be a therapist. I just knew right away that I love psychology, and I showed that I was very good and intuitive in psychology classes, right? So me and my psychology professors would like have our conversations in class, and I could kind of like pull things out of their brain and just like, they would ask a question, I would always know the answers. And so I don't know, that was like the first thing. And that led me into getting certified as a substance abuse counselor. And again, I was extremely good at it, even though I just first started. I was the only one who had groups that were fully sober for months and months, even though I was just an intern, basically. I was just really good at psychology and helping people. And that led me into Buddhism. So I got involved in Buddhism. I became a Buddhist monk, a Buddhist meditation teacher. And in case of meditation, that was not a gift of mine. I knew I wanted to do it, but I was not good at it. I've always been good at teaching things that I understand, though. And so I've always had that gift from as early as I can remember. So I knew I wanted to help people, and I found these tools that I found were very helpful, Buddhist psychology type stuff. And I got good at doing it for myself, and I learned how to teach it to others. And I spent a long time perfecting the art of like teaching and guiding group meditation classes. So I would put that in the category of a skill, right? So I had some gifts, right? But I developed the skill, the art of delivering transformation in a group. And it was great. It became my mission. And, you know, in terms of business, along the way, as I started helping myself and really helping others with their marketing, I would always get the same feedback, right? And that's one of the ways that you can start to understand some of your gifts. Sometimes you need feedback to tell you. And the feedback I would always get is that I'm really good with words, right? Helping other people with their messaging and with the words of their business, right? And so that became feedback I got right away. And that's what I did. Over time, I've just realized, okay, I may as well just start doing that for my clients. And so I've kind of focused on that, and people love it. They get good results. And one more thing to add into that is I'd say one of my gifts is connection, just connecting to people. And again, it's like you kind of know you do it, but sometimes your gifts are just so intuitive for you that you just think, oh, everyone does it. But sometimes you need feedback from others to get a sense, oh, actually, maybe this is a gift. Maybe there's something special I'm bringing here. So that's a little bit of my story. Hopefully that's helpful.
Thank you. And Casey?
I love how you mentioned you don't even sometimes know the gifts that you have because you think that everybody can do it. I always had a really direct connection to the divine. I was always very claircognizant. I just have full downloads. But even as a child, as I had mentioned in my intro, I was speaking with different beings, angels, ascended masters, the divine, and it was very normal for me. But I kind of knew that other people couldn't do that, but it really became highlighted for me as I got older and realized that there were just a lot of things that I could see and feel and sense and hear and know that other people couldn't. But I started meditating when I was about 16, I think, and I was really like, I don't want to say that I was good at it, but I spent a lot of time doing it in a bunch of different ways, movement, meditation. I was obsessed, honestly. Like, I was obsessed with learning everything. So every gift that I had, I was like, ooh, let me study this, let me practice this, let me find the historical context, let me understand this. And I read voraciously about everything. And I did spend a lot of time honing my gifts. I also spent a lot of time exploring like psychedelic realms when I was a teenager and in my early 20s and pulling things out of my consciousness and learning how to express them. There was just so much weaving together of the study and the practice. I also had a massive expansion of my psychic gifts into more of a multidimensional realm that I still use to this day. When I was having this experience in my 20s, and I'm 42, so this was a long time ago, I started seeing a lot of angel numbers everywhere. And this was before I knew what angel numbers were. They weren't like, trending like they are right now. And I was like, I'm just going to take this as a chance to be grateful every time I saw one. And then it got crazy because it's like 111 on the license plate and 1010 on the clock over here and just like constantly. So I was just spending all of this time being grateful in the frequency and field of gratitude. And then through that, my multidimensional gifts, talking to my guides and channeling things on demand anytime I wanted, started to turn on, and things got a lot more um, conscious. And it wasn't just like, oh, this just happened. I was like, oh, I can hone this. So again, this like practice and study really came through. And the last gift that I remember that really came through for me was about 5 or 6 years ago. I heard someone speak light language, and then I was like, oh, I can totally do that. And I just did it. And I was like, cool. And my voice carried all of these rich tones and feelings of home, this frequency of divine love. And I would share it. And then people would be like, oh my gosh, how do you do that? Can you teach me? And I was like, well, I mean, I just remembered, but I was like, but you know what? I think I can teach you because I had been a hula hoop teacher and I had studied facilitation and I was a belief repatterning practitioner. So I could help people get through the beliefs that were blocking them and I could feel energy and I could do all these things that I could put together in a package to teach people. And that's when I really started playing more with helping people access their channel. And I realized I had a gift for creating all of the right circumstances for people to tap into their own divine wisdom in a way that I hadn't seen other people do. And so it's really just been this cumulative like layer cake of first discovering all the things that I could do, but then alchemizing all of them together into different packages.
Thank you for your answer, both of you. It's great getting to know more about you always. And thank you to everybody who has come. I'm going to do one more check for questions as we wrap up. If you have been sitting there, palm getting sweaty, tickle, something like that, saying I should ask something, it's now or never. Well, you can ask in the Facebook group, and I think that you might get a response, so it's not never. But if anybody has anything, let's last call in the Q&A. Oh, Pam. I love how quick her hand popped up now.
Yeah, I was debating on whether or not to speak. So I actually am feeling incredibly discouraged after listening to everybody talk tonight because I do think that a lot of things that we can do are crazy, right? In the world that we grew up in, the stuff that we're able to do is crazy. And when we talk about the things that we can do, it does come across as over promising, from people that aren't aware. And so I was just really surprised to hear some of the perspectives at the beginning of the call about, not um, really being too bold about what you can do or over promising. And then I hear Casey talking about, the results that she can deliver and how she narrows in on that. And I'm curious how you share that without giving people the impression that you're overpromising.
We'll let Casey start on that question.
Sure. Yeah, I'm so sorry that you're feeling discouraged about this. Listen, it's only an overpromise if you can't deliver. It's only out of integrity if you don't actually have the chops to do it. If you can do magical things for people, then by all means, you should tell them that. But the caveat, and John's been talking about this so beautifully, is it has to be to the right person. So I don't bother trying to explain in like magical terms all of the stuff that I can do to, let's just call them muggles, like people who don't get it. I don't over explain myself to people who are not my people, who are not here to serve, who will not get it, or are going to misunderstand me. I have shifted my marketing to speak specifically to the person I don't have to convince that magic exists. And I also love working personally with people who are also advanced on their spiritual path or on the mastery path. So I can go in and I can just clearly state what is possible. And I don't hold back about what is possible, but I don't say that everybody in the entire world can do it. I say that I have processes that I can share with you that will allow you to do this if you are XYZ, like qualifying who the person is and yeah, just sharing with them the potential of it. So you don't have to be able to deliver the result to every single person, but you should be able to deliver the result to your ideal client. And then absolutely, I can promise, and I will say on social media that people will have experiences of connecting with the divine in a way that will make them freaking weep because they've never felt that before. I can say that because I've brought enough people into that, right? I don't say that I'm going to change your life in every way, like in a way that I can't share. I take real things that I've done with real people, and then I just share those in an excited way to explain what is possible without saying that like it it will happen for everybody no matter what. There's all of these conditions that people have to meet. And when it comes to, my more of my trainings and certifications, the templates and the systems and the structures that I have, I know that they work for everybody that comes into the program who's the right person. For someone who's not the right fit, it's not going to help them build a business, right? Because they're not ready or it's not for the right thing. So finding your people and speaking to them and to their highest potential is the way, I guess, around that. And it does take some play. But yeah, you can absolutely, if you can deliver the moon and the stars, then tell them that.
Thank you. That was a phenomenal answer. And I just also want to say, Casey, that you are such a fabulous speaker. I just love, love, love the way you communicate. It's beautiful. I appreciate you.
We're going to let John weigh in on your question as well.
Do you mind, Pamela, if I add my 2 cents?
Please, I'd appreciate it very, very much.
Yeah. And so I think like, again, sorry if you felt discouraged. I think that question that Brandy asked is coming from her knowledge of the industry that we're in and like how marketers can hype things up too much, right? It's so that question comes from a knowledge of the marketing industry, not really you know, the spiritual, I don't know, I guess maybe spiritual people do this too, but it's not real. That's why I led with what I said. Like, I think that spiritual people need the opposite advice. We need to believe in ourselves more. We need to claim more about what we do, right? We need to be unafraid to just say it, right? That's my opinion. And it all comes down to what Casey just mentioned, which is it's for the right person, right? A person this is true in transformation, right? A person needs a certain degree of readiness before they can receive anything, right? That's part of the game, right? If I'm a plumber and someone lives in a shack that has no toilet, I'm not gonna give them a $20,000 plumbing thing because they're not ready. Does that make sense? It's the same thing with any type of journey. You need to be very clear, like who's ready to receive what I've got, because the results depend largely on their starting place, right? And who it is. That's a lot of the results don't come just from us. They come from their own starting place and how ready they are, how much they want it. And so you're looking for just those people. You're not looking to convince, we're not creating Amazon here where we're going to serve a billion people, right? Like think about like who's ready for what you've got and just talk to them and they're going to get it. And they're not going to roll their eyes, right? And they're not going to think that you're crazy. Does that make sense? Like that's a really important part of claiming what we do is being willing to leave the pack behind, right? You have to be willing to move away from the masses and what everyone does. That's not your audience. We're not here to impress them. You're here for those who are ready for you, and just speak to them and they will get it. Yeah.
I appreciate that response very, very much as well. You guys have been a wealth of information, and I can see from the very eloquent responses that I've received that you just kind of poked my sore spot because the issue that I've been having that I was hoping would be addressed here tonight was the issue around attracting clients because I do find so often people will be talking about what's going on with them, and I'll know that in 5 minutes or less, that thing can be gone. And you run into that and it just doesn't seem believable. And so you get that kind of cockeyed eyebrow look and nothing. So it's been hard to even imagine taking these talents, into a full business. I am a clinical hypnotherapist. I practice hypnotherapy and energy modalities. And yet, the really cool stuff, the magic, right, is so far outside those words that how do you let people know that they don't need, an hour-long hypnosis session or six package schedule that it can just be gone in the snap of a finger? I mean, okay, that was exaggeration. It can be gone in 5 to 15 minutes.
I really appreciate you sharing the specifics of your challenges, and you mentioned the challenge of attracting clients for that. And I will speak a little bit on the marketing of that, which is to become a really good storyteller, to learn to tell your story and your clients' stories. Now, when I teach social media, I teach it in this way that is about flow and fun, meaning you're in an ongoing dialogue with your people. So just as John Casey mentioned, you are trying to just speak to a specific audience, but I do this mental thing where I'm like, the people I'm talking to get it and get me. So I'm not hindered, and I try to teach other people this, I'm not hindered by thinking about that one person in high school who's still my Facebook friend who is judging me and their, like Casey said, a muggle like mindset. I am assuming everybody around me is in it with me and we are having a conversation, and I'm adding elements of my story and to give context to why I am where I am. Like you want to tell your story in 100 different ways over and over again, focusing on the why are you someone who has taken the path of providing this? Why is this your life's purpose? What is the context required to create buy-in? And then within that, to know that that's a natural filter, because if you tell that story in full honesty, it will just naturally filter the people away. They will unfriend you, they will disappear. And the people who you're having that conversation with, I know it sounds kind of magical, in a lot of ways it is, they will exist in your core audience. For the person who asked about algorithm, that is a big piece of it. Once you have frequent engagers who are your audience that you are having that dialogue with, everything does feel like actually a social experience online, but things move in your business. You get messages in your inbox. I see you posted about this. I'm interested in that. I'm curious. The leads and stuff come from being an engaged storyteller and learning, like, who am I having this conversation with? And they are not the person that you're supposed to be waking up. This is a common mistake. And I think I'm going to stop speaking because I could say so much about this, but it's a common mistake is thinking it's your job to wake people up, to find, the people within your living radius and create a conventional business that looks like a person with a brick and mortar, shop down the street. It's about, if you're coming online specifically, knowing that if you exist, other people like you exist, and therefore it is possible. But I need to be having conversations in my sphere that's bringing in other people who want to have that conversation or who need to hear it from me because they're on some kind of awakening path, or we're meant to intersect at this point in their journey. So that's what I have to add to that. But Casey and John, do you have anything to share with her further, as she shared with us a little bit more context to her struggle?
Absolutely. And I feel like getting in front of the people that already believe in magic and that things can be easier is just the way to go about it instead of trying to do it only in your own circles. So being somewhere like the PsyChicks Collective, you've got 34,000 people who already are interested in the metaphysical, and a good portion of them are going to be like, yeah, miracles happen, and I would like more of those in my life, please. But it could also look like getting featured on podcasts or other media where other people already have an audience of people who believe in magic and miracles. There's a million podcasts or YouTube shows or people that have a platform built that already is self-selected to people that are going to believe you, instead of you having to go through that process of waking people up and convincing people. Getting onto a platform that has like the algorithm that will work in your favor, like maybe it's TikTok or maybe it's Pinterest, who knows, but something that's going to bring you in front of new people. Facebook, except for Facebook groups and other people's audiences there, and Instagram aren't really outreach platforms. So if you don't want to like run ads on Meta, going somewhere where you can be seen by new people who are going to get it with keywords that they're going to feel a resonance with can really open things up, because those people are out there, they do exist. And like, I don't know, I'm one of them, and I bet everybody that's here would be like, oh yeah, that's totally possible, right? Like there's magical stuff that can happen. So we are proof that these people are out there. It's just a question of finding them and sharing your story, which I love.
Love it. Yep. And so the one thing I'd add to that for Pamela, actually three things. Number one, if I'm stuck on something, sometimes I try to flip it. Right. And so if the problem is like I can't attract people, I think, okay, well, how can I repel people then? Right. And so, okay, I can't attract the right people. Let me repel the wrong people. Right. That's actually just as powerful, maybe more powerful. So a magnet has attractive sides and repulsive sides. It does. Every magnet has both. And if we want to be magnetic, we need both. And a lot of people are very ashamed of or just not comfortable with repelling people. But trust me, it will work. If you decided for the next
Oh no.
I know, I'm like, it's so good.
And he's
for
frozen
the
in
rest.
time. We can
Oh, he's back.
you're back.
He's
You had a
Oh, you couldn't hear
disruption.
me?
You glitched. You were holding
Oh,
your hand up and you were,
he,
well, where was he? Somebody
he
remind.
glitched right after the magnet has
magnet.
to,
Right.
right.
And
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
yeah, sorry about that. My internet skipped out. The magnet has two sides, obviously, right? And so a lot of people are afraid to be repellent. They're afraid to be repulsive or whatever that word is. So that's my advice. If you wanted to do it, it would work. If you decided for the next week or two, instead of trying to attract the right person, you were just going to try to repel the wrong person. If you did that, I guarantee you'd get the right person coming to you. Guarantee it 100%. You'd get plenty of them. That's number one. Number two is if you can get great results for people and they're not believable yet, right? In my opinion, what I like to do, I like to just lower the barrier of entry and just kind of stack proof, right? And so maybe people aren't going to pay me $1,000 yet for my thing, right? Or in your case, whatever their price is. It doesn't matter. It's like, well, maybe that's too high of a bar to ask. But if I know I can deliver, I'll just lower the bar so I know I get the yeses, right? And then you kind of get a testimonial or get a case study out of it, and then go post that. And as I think Casey was saying, like if you tell the story of the people that you've worked with already, you're not promising that result. You're just saying, look, this worked for Susie, it worked for Timmy, it worked for Jonathan, or whatever. Like if you just show those stories, it's going to attract a lot of people who will start to believe that what you do can work for them too. So that's number two, is just lower the bar, whether that means free or low price, get the case study, get the story, and then now you have it documented and you showcase that. That's number two. Number three is, yeah, sometimes people aren't going to believe the value that you've got. And it's just a matter of practice and trying to communicate it in different ways. There's like value, like business is all about the exchange of value, and sales and marketing is about the communication of value, right? But there really is no such thing as value other than perceived value, right? It's all about perceived value. And so you need to become a master of helping another person to see and perceive value. And a person who's not far enough along in their journey won't be able to, so you don't even bother. For the right person, you help them to perceive it. And that might mean you change the way you say it, that you change the way you structure it so that, okay, it is believable. If you can help them in 15 minutes, maybe they won't believe that. And so give them a full session. And maybe the last 15 minutes, but like, and you just small talk the rest of the time, but at least now it's believable and they'll buy it. Does that make sense? And so you just tweak it until they believe it. Anyway, hopefully that helps. It's
Yeah,
in the morning. I'm pretty tired right now.
tons of information. It was all excellent. I appreciate that very much. I have tried a couple of those things. The one thing that I haven't done that you both, well, all three of you have mentioned now is really um, getting out there, right? I don't really do social media. I ran my bookkeeping business for 20 years, just on word of mouth and referrals. And hypnotherapy worked really well that way too. I found that marketing is really hard because, well, with any of these businesses, right? Bookkeeping, nobody wants the person that they're running into every week at social gatherings to know their finances. And same with hypnotherapy. They don't want somebody that they're seeing every week to know all their stuff. Right. So I thought going into this, once I realized, how easy it was for me that I don't even really need to know what it is. I can just kind of pick up on the emotion and follow it. But I thought that would make things easier, and it's not. I think it actually scares people. So you've nailed a lot of things. I know that I'm gonna have to put myself out there, and I have been looking for psychic fairs um, and things just as a means to get my name out there without doing the whole social media thing. So, yeah, all of the information you've provided is exceptionally valuable. And yeah, you guys are beautiful people, and this event tonight has been phenomenal. I'm so grateful.
Thank you. Thank you. Because it is getting so late, and out of respect for John, who I can tell is getting a bit tired here, it is late for him. So we are going to wrap up. And I appreciate everybody making the time to come and watch live. I would like to address the replay viewers to let you know that we have more future panels coming. And one of the best reasons to come live is for the Q&A, because you will not get that live Q&A opportunity watching on the replay to actually come and interact with us. I'm going to plug our next upcoming panel. Right now, as it stands, the next one will be on November 14th. It is all about the ethics of professional mediumship, and I have three professional full-time employed in their mediumship businesses coming to talk about that evolution and how they got there and some of the very specific concerns regarding mediumship. But magic things happen, and I can't say another panel won't pop up in between now and the 14th because this is what we are doing now to promote the collective on different platforms. I finally realized the importance of having our collective interacting together and bringing our voices forward so that the substance of what we're building feels more real than just fun in a Facebook group. That's a piece of it. I'll continue to be a piece of it, but I'm so excited to expand these panels. Even tonight, I know I feel it in my body that I'm on the right track with this because this is so beautiful. And to the people who contributed their energy, even in the audience, like we feel you here with us and appreciate the significance of you, on a Sunday night, taking the time to, you could be watching anything on TV, you could be scrolling, you could do something for yourself, but you're here with us. And I just recognize the significance of that. Attention is a valuable currency, and you guys have contributed value as guests. And I am so excited for these panels to continue. So thank you everyone so much. I'm gonna allow both of you to say goodnight as well. And just a few more notes to our audience. One of the best ways you can say thank you to all of us is to go post in our Facebook group and say that you came and that it was good and worth the time because this is new and our group needs to know. So please go tell them. We really would love those posts. It would speak well to all of us and encourage people to watch the replay for the sake of all three of us and our separate ventures. And that said, any calls to action that Casey and John may have, I'm going to just open up for them to say. Watch for that follow-up email. It's coming with the gifts that they've mentioned to you. We're also going to have something in there from Nicole as well, just because she's already prepared it, and I hope to have her on a future panel. So I will allow our sleepy John to go first and say goodnight, and then Casey, and then we'll call it.
Thank you. And thank you, Brandy, for putting this together. We should all be thanking her as well for the effort of doing this event. Thank you for being here. Thank you, Casey. Yeah, so if anyone wants to schedule a free call with me, you're welcome to do so. Pure value, just help you on your business for 30 minutes or whatever. You can do that. And anyone who books a call gets my 36 free videos, every aspect of building your business, even inner work, manifestation, meditation, all that stuff too. You can get it at the link that we just shared earlier, although I can type it again. And yeah, that's it. I just appreciate all of you. I think the main advice I'd give is you just got to get started. Like, get out of thinking mode, get out of your head, get out of someday, get out of this phrase, oh, I'm just getting started. And that's your excuse for why you haven't done it yet. Like, just go do it. Like, there isn't really a rule book for this, there's no handbook. It's like, this is life, and you want to make an impact on others. You want to become a better person. So this is a vehicle for doing that. And there's no need to wait even a day longer. Like, everyone within 24 hours, you should take action from this energy. Like, whatever you're inspired to do, make sure you take one step in that direction, 24 hours or less. You have to, or else it's going to be harder and harder and harder, right? Do it soon. Do it now. Do it as soon as we end the call, because that'll create some momentum, and that momentum builds and makes it easy to get big results later. So that's it for me. Thank you so much, and I hope to see you in the future. Thank you.
Cool. Put us to bed, Casey, or wake us up, whatever you want to do with your time.
Okay, sweet dreams, John. Thank you for staying up so late. I definitely would have just been like, sorry, I'm not available at that time. It was really late. It's like 3 a.m. for him. So just like hats off. Thank you for your wisdom, and thank you, Brandy, for putting this on. If anybody wants to keep geeking out with me about this stuff and the blend of the mystical, magical with the tangible and practical for building your business in integrity, sustainably, with like a whole bunch of fun and magic involved. I mentioned that I have the Single Sessions to Sacred Journeys masterclass coming up this week. And it is going to be basically the how to do all of this stuff. And I'm going to be sharing a lot more of like how I have built that sustainable six-figure business and all of the pieces that I use that are, again, the practical stuff, but bringing in the magic. I work with Gaia, I work with the elements, and we work with the unified field of creation and the highest self. And you get to go and actually take some of the tools that I use with my clients that I can give to you to use with your clients in your sessions right away to make them more magical and fun and potent and all of that. So the link I've just put in the chat, and Brandy will mail that out. And I just want to say thank you. If you are someone who is sharing your soul gifts with the world, or you're going to, like, we need all hands on deck right now. We need leaders who are leading with integrity, sharing their light and their magic with the world. And only you can do it the way that you can do it. Like, there is no competition when we're playing in that frequency of abundance. And we need, the world needs as much help as it can get. So thank you for doing that work in the world. And thank you, Brandy, again.